guys, so it's Monday yet again, and I've got Totoro here. This morning I am drinking, just update, the peach flavor matcha tea from the Matcha Reserve that I showed you guys last week. It is so good. I just have it in here with a little bit of water, and I actually have it on its own, but it's fine without any sweetener, but I may end up adding some of those coconut sweet leaf drops that I got on iHerb to really make it tropical, because I don't know, the weather here is always sunny, but we've been having a few intermittent gray days, and it's kind of nice to channel the tropics sometimes. So I don't know, I've kind of got tropical flavors that I'm seeking, I suppose. But anyways, today's video, as promised, I'm going to be, it's a follow-up video to last Monday's video, wherein I talked about kind of the ingredients in soaps and facial cleansers and what ingredients to look for as far as detergents, surfactants, moisturizing ingredients, things to avoid in your facial cleansers and bar soaps, body soaps. And as a follow-up to that, today I'm going to talk about how to choose a cleanser based on your skin type. So as far as skin type, you know, people kind of love to categorize themselves as a certain skin type. Today I'll just sort of be covering, for the most part, dry skin and then oily skin, followed by sensitive skin. I'll touch a little bit on what, you know, you guys refer to as combination skin, or as I like to call it, normal, as well. But if you remember in last week's video, you know, that soap in general really isn't necessary or essential, but it does play a role in skincare, particularly for people who wear heavy makeup, and for removing sunscreen. You know, you need a little assistance in removing that, but honestly, a lot of people can get away with just plain water. So starting off, if you are somebody who has dry skin, okay, meaning that you are, you know, your skin is just very dry. Some of you like to call yourselves mature skin, but, you know, honestly, any age demographic can have dry skin, and this can leave the skin feeling parched. It can exacerbate the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. And the last thing you want to be doing is using a harsh cleanser, a harsh soap on your face that's further gonna dry out your skin and worsen the appearance of those fine lines. So honestly, the first thing that you need to ask yourself and touch base on is the temperature of the water that you're washing your face with. As I mentioned last week, you never want to select extremes of temperature to wash your face, regardless of what your skin type is, okay? But if you have been using really, really hot water, you definitely want to stop doing that. Use just right down the middle, lukewarm water. And if you're a drier skin type, honestly, even if you're a makeup wearer, oftentimes you can get away with just tap water, honestly. But if you find yourself needing to use a facial cleanser, bear in mind this: skin is dry, and dry skin occurs because it tends to have less oil on the stratum corneum, or the very top layer of the epidermis, the top layer of the skin. So the last thing you want to do is to go using a very harsh cleanser. So go back to last week's video. I'll relist in the description box of this video the ingredients, but avoid selecting cleansers that have really harsh detergents in them, like sodium lauryl sulfate, for example. It can be very, very drying. And also, you know, select a facial wash that has a surfactant in it that is pretty gentle. And one that tends to do well for drier skin types are the polysorbates that I mentioned last week. You know, those are derived from sorbitol, a plant compound, which is, you know, all natural and fine. And those tend to do quite well for dry skin types. Additionally, Cocamidopropyl betaine and caprylic acid are pretty gentle surfactants as well that are good ingredients in a facial cleanser for drier skin. And the other thing that you want to look for is that the facial cleanser has some added humectants and moisturizers. Humectants, as I've talked about before, are things like hyaluronic acid, okay? They're not moisturizers in the sense that they don't help your skin, they don't help slow down transepidermal water loss necessarily, by making a seal, but what they do is they bind water molecules and help hold them onto the skin. Okay, so when you're using a facial cleanser, they're a nice ingredient to have in there, okay, and they can be helpful and they can work. Ceramides may also be helpful as well, but it's more important to focus on that the facial wash has an actual humectant or moisturizer in it rather than ceramides, because the jury's sort of still out on whether ceramides are super functional in facial washes. And if you're confused about ceramides, I've talked about those in my moisturizing videos, how to moisturize the body and how to moisturize the face. So make sure you check those out. But you know, many facial washes have ceramides in them, and that's a decent ingredient and potentially helpful. But humectants include things like hyaluronic acid, as I mentioned, as well as glycerin. And then some of the creamier cleansers, the more cream-based cleansers, will have a thicker actual moisturizer in them, as well as a gentle surfactant, and those are really popular. You know, I believe Classic Pond's Cold Cream is one such example of this, and those contain things like squalene, as well as derivatives of coconut oil, not straight coconut oil, but derivatives of coconut oil. So they can be very moisturizing while you are removing the makeup from your face. But if you're a drier skin type, I would say you're somebody who will be well served overall by kind of cleansing milks, creamy cleansers, cold creams, and cleansing oils and cleansing balms. Okay, I'll touch a little bit about those and the double cleanse method at the end of this video, but you guys have seen that I do a double cleanse at night, and I think it's actually great for all skin types. But the people who will start, I think, enjoying it most readily are people with drier skin, just as a gentle way to remove dirt, oil, and makeup. Okay, and I will list some of my favorites down below. Now let's get into the oily and acne-prone skin types. So you'll recall in last week's video I talked about the process of micellation. Okay, you know, that's like what you see on the bottles that say micellar water. You know, soap does that too. It's kind of the process of encapsulating dirt and oil molecules and allowing them to wash off. You really want to focus on a cleanser that can get you some good micellation to help remove some of that excess oil. So as I mentioned in last week's video, you may find that you tolerate and enjoy a cleanser that contains a stronger detergent like sodium laureth sulfate, for example. Personally, I think sodium lauryl sulfate is very, very drying. Some oily skin types love cleansers with that ingredient in it, but overall it can be very drying, okay? But sodium laureth sulfate is somewhere in the middle of the road as far as detergents go in cleansers, and you know, can really help with the micellation of the excess oil on your. And then for the oily and acne-prone skin types, cleansers and washes that contain the active ingredient either salicylic acid or benzoyl peroxide can be effective in oily and acne-prone areas on the face, as I've talked about in a lot of my acne videos. Those ingredients help cut down on oil. They help concentrate in the oil glands really quickly. They also help cut down on excess bacteria in the oil, in the follicle, the pore, that can contribute to acne flares. So they're good ingredients for really oily, acne-prone skin types, but they almost universally, quote, dry people out, okay? So, you know, if you've never used one such cleanser with this ingredient in it, try using it just a few nights a week in the beginning and see how you do before building up to using it on a daily basis. But I use one such cleanser myself, and I find it's actually quite gentle. It's the Zapsit one. I'll list it down below. I love it. I think it's the best salicylic acid face wash I've ever used, period. And I've tried many, including the Paula's Choice BHA that's so popular, and far and away, the Zapsit one just works the best for me. And it happens to be cruelty-free, by the way. So yeah, that's a really good one. The key, though, that you have to know about these is that, you know, those active ingredients are great in the oily prone areas, but you've got to avoid getting them around your eyes, okay? That's bad news bears, getting them near your eyes. The skin of the eyes is very, very thin. And the last thing you know, those ingredients don't belong there, okay? So I will list them down below and put in parentheses, not for around the eye, so you don't get confused, okay? But those can really help not only cut down on oil, but kind of help prevent flares and breakouts down the road. They also are great for prominent pores, okay? If you were plagued by prominent pores and bothered by oily skin, blackheads, and pores, salicylic acid or benzoyl peroxide are great ingredients. But oftentimes oily skin types, acne-prone skin types tend to gravitate towards gel cleansers because they can be a little bit more, even a little bit more, you know, kind of drying, if you will. But gentle at the same time. They also will have some added humectants in them like glycerin that are not pore clogging whatsoever. And they tend to use these fun little terms like purifying or clarifying. So, you know, those are kind of gimmicky terms that I suppose you can look for. But the one thing I will emphasize for oily skin types is don't obsess over stripping the oil off of your face. That, you know, can really exacerbate all types of skin problems. You know, it can just contribute to irritation and inflammation in the skin that really just drives, it's not that it necessarily drives the rate of oil production, but, you know, your skin reacts to it, and it tends to react to it by oftentimes becoming oilier, honestly. But for people with sensitive skin, you know, that can really run a gamut of types of people. People with true rosacea are kind of one category in that umbrella term of sensitive skin. And then there are people who are just, you know, plagued by a little bit of redness. Their skin is just sensitive. A lot of products sting them. And this category in general is kind of the hardest to make a global recommendation to, because inevitably someone will use a face wash and find that it stings. I've gotten comments before like, that cleanser burns like bleach. And it's like, well, there's no way to ever predict that. So I really wish in my heart of hearts that cosmetic companies, they're always coming out with, you know, new products and da-da-da-da-da, but I wish they would just create a, you know, a 2-week trial size of everything. I think if, in general, okay, if you are somebody with sensitive skin, first and foremost, you have got to avoid fragrance in your skincare products. That can definitely worsen stinging sensations, redness, irritation in the skin, particularly people with rosacea. Avoid essential oils, and really, really, really be careful of a lot of the, you know, all natural products, a lot of the products that are marketed as cruelty-free and very in your face about how good they are for the environment and how all natural they are for the environment and how wonderful they are. A lot of stuff in Whole Foods, for example. Be very careful of those because they tend to be chock full of essential oils, and essential oils are problematic for all skin types, period, but really, really, really can cause a lot of problems for people with rosacea or sensitive skin or skin allergies already, okay? So avoid those. Absolutely my favorite line of products for sensitive skin types is the Vanicream line. Basic level skincare products that are effective. They don't have fragrance, they don't have the common allergens in them, so I'm a fan of those products, and they make a very gentle face wash that I think is fantastic and a good starting point, okay? And I believe if you go on their website, they may even send you a sample of it. But lastly, for the sensitive skin types out there, other ingredients in the facial cleanser that can be helpful are things like aloe, soy, and also niacinamide. Okay, these can in facial cleansers, they can actually help reduce redness. However, depending on who you are in the sensitive skin type umbrella, some of these ingredients may actually irritate you a little bit more, okay? So that's why I really wish for you guys that they had more 2-week tested out type products, but they don't. So, you know, it's a lot more trial and error for you. But oftentimes these are really good ingredients for sensitive skin types because they can soothe redness, they can calm down some of the inflammation in the skin and be really, really helpful, okay? I talked about niacinamide in a separate video. I've talked about aloe before. In facial washes, they are really good ingredients for the most part. And soy can have a brightening effect and be soothing as well. One thing that I'll point out though is that the skin on your face is not uniform, okay? It varies in thickness depending on the location of the face. It varies in density of nerves and blood vessels. On the cheeks, there is a very high density of blood vessels there, okay? That's, where we blush and things like that, okay? So, if you're going to sting and be bothered by products on the face, it's oftentimes going to be stinging on your cheeks, right? So just kind of be cognizant of that sort of thing when you're testing things out. As far as combination skin, honestly, combination skin is kind of this vague concept created by the cosmetic industry, and it involves people who have a tendency to have, patches of skin that are oily, a little bit dry, and that sort of thing. But more often than not, what lends itself to combination skin is really overuse of a lot of cosmetic products on a background of either normal skin or a background of maybe a little bit oilier skin. So for the most part, combination skin doesn't require any specific cleanser ingredients. And I would say that you probably best be served just by choosing those, say, for sensitive skin types would be fine, or for drier skin types. You really don't need a specific cleanser ingredient for combination skin. If anything, if your skin, you find that over the years has become more in the quote combination category, I would encourage you to just reassess how much stuff you're using on your face. And if it's more than, I don't know, a simple cleanser, a moisturizer, and a sunscreen, well, that's probably what's making your skin a combination of things, because it's going, get all of this stuff off, okay? All of the serums, all of the toners, all of the plant oils, all of those kinds of things. Just put them away for a while and minimize your skincare routine, and I think you might find that, hey, I actually have pretty normal skin, or my skin's not really this combination of things. But overall, it's just some general questions that I get a fair amount about in regards to facial cleansers that I'll touch on before ending the video. A lot of people ask me, about oil cleansing. You guys see me do it, and a lot of people, particularly people with oily skin types, are terrified by the double cleanse that I do and advocate for you guys, and they're worried that it'll make them oilier and shinier, and that is absolutely not true. Putting oils on your face doesn't really make your sebaceous gland make more oil, okay? But what a lot of the cleansing oils do quite well is they help to dissolve makeup very, very gently, okay? It's kind of the principle of like dissolves like. And a lot of the, cosmetic cleansing oils, like the Hada Labo one is my absolute favorite. Another one that I have tried out and like, but is a little pricier and I see no difference as far as performance, is the Dhc Cleansing Oil. They're very gentle. These cosmetic cleansing oils, they have a little bit of like an emulsifier added, so that, they help. First of all, the oil breaks up the makeup very, very gently, and then when you follow it up with a gentle cleanser to just remove that broken up makeup, broken up sunscreen, broken up oil, it just comes off much more gently. You don't have to go rubbing or scrubbing the face. I just think it works fantastic. I advocate it really for all skin types who are interested in ways to remove makeup more effectively. I think it's a far better choice, and one that I would really push for you choosing over makeup wipes or micellar waters, okay? Makeup wipes are terrible. I can never recommend a makeup wipe. I can never recommend a makeup remover. Can never recommend a micellar water, okay? They, far and away, in dermatology, people present with problems due to these products because they have ingredients that leave residua on the face that the body doesn't like and the skin doesn't like, and cause subsequent problems for many people, okay? So steer clear, regardless of your skin type, of cosmetic makeup wipes and micellar waters and makeup removers if you can. I realize in certain settings you got to do these things. I'm not a makeup artist. I'm not somebody who wears makeup, so I know I'm speaking out of personal inexperience, but my personal experience in dermatology as a dermatologist is that these products really cause a lot of problems. So I advocate steering away from them. And I really think that the oil-based double cleansing method is the best way to remove that heavy makeup for you guys. So try it out. I really like it a lot. And it's so gentle that I've noticed a decrease breakage of my eyelashes just because I'm not like, you know, abrading my eyes at all to get mascara off. Mascara is really all I wear, that and sunscreen. I mean, that's all I wear. And doing the double cleanse, I've noticed that my eyelash health has improved substantially. I mean, you know, I never was bothered by it before, but I've noticed an improvement in the health of my eyelashes doing it. So I strongly advocate that, okay? But no, oil cleansing will not make you break out or anything like that. I know all of you are always asking me about my thoughts on facial oils as moisturizers and that sort of thing. So I will talk about that in next week's video, but for all intents and purposes of this video, I advocate the oil double cleanse, in which you use a cosmetic cleansing oil to break up makeup, and then to break up your makeup and sunscreen, and then wash it off, okay? Do not leave it on your face, all right? And then in next week's video, I'll talk all about oils for the face, okay? And body. And then the last cleanser question that I always have to address is about benzoyl peroxide washes and salicylic acid washes. People always ask me, are these ingredients, how can ingredients, period, be effective in facial washes? You're just washing it off, okay? Okay, all right, I see where you're going there, but we know actually quite well that both benzoyl peroxide and salicylic acid in facial washes quickly penetrate the oil glands of the skin quite effectively, concentrate there, and can exert control on excessive oil production and acne flares quite well, okay? So yes, they are effective. They only need a short contact time with the skin. So when I use washes that contain these ingredients, like I said, for the oily skin types, pay attention. You just target them in the oily zones, not around the eyes. Let them sit on the skin for a few minutes and then rinse them off. That's all you need, that short contact time, to get you the active ingredient that can then exert control of these issues of oil production and acne flares. So yes, they are effective in wash forms. And then as far as like hyaluronic acid and moisturizing ingredients, you know, these aren't gonna necessarily help your skin stay moisturized, but they kind of help fight the battle that you're doing with cleansing, in that when you cleanse, you invariably dry out the top layer of your skin, because you are stripping some of the natural barrier, period. So having the moisturizing ingredients in there kind of helps hold on to a little bit of water and counterbalance that harsh surfactant activity, and really make it a lot more gentle. So don't think of those ingredients as necessarily being like your moisturizing ingredients. Think of them as being like a little bit of a defense against the offense of cleansing. Like I said, check the description box. I will list a lot of my favorite cleansers for each skin type. You guys know I'm a fan of the Hada Labo hyaluronic acid cleansing foam, so that will be down there. Anyways, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.